Amlo, the president who was changing Mexico. Amlo, as Andres Manuel López Obrador is known, is doing a titanic job in fighting corruption, which is the Mexican cancer that has plunged 80% of Mexicans into poverty and indebtedness. Throughout its history, for decades, an honest, humble and intelligent man, a patriot with strong moral and spiritual values, of ideals that keep him down to earth. Every new day at 6 in the morning he meets with his cabinet to make an analysis of the various problems of the country, of the measures and solutions to be taken. At the end of his meeting he presents himself at a press conference at 7 in the morning to inform the media and the population about minors, likewise respond to and deal with complaints regarding any matter concerning the government. On weekends he uses them to travel the country, generally by road and commercial flights. He has refused to use the presidential plane, which he says is an insult to the people, since it is a luxury plane that even surpasses that of other leaders of world powers. Today, almost 2 years after his government, he has managed to direct his economic policies towards the well-being of the people. With a social vocation in its economic policy, it always looks for the benefits to reach those most in need directly. It has various social programs, but today we will talk about the health sector. I believe INSP provides free medical care for any citizen even if they do not have health insurance, and best of all, medications are also free. Of course, there are still failures in this system and also corrupt people within the hospitals that stole the medicines and resell them or simply deny them because they have pharmacies conveniently next to the hospitals or clinics, but day by day it is managing to improve. Another important achievement within the health sector was to end the monopoly exercised by 3 pharmaceutical companies and who, in collusion with government people, sold the drugs to the government at a premium. Amlo not only stopped this corrupt act, but also managed to buy the drugs but for wholesale and save up to 60% on the purchase of medicines and 40% on medical supplies. Within this same sector, it has managed to finish many of the 307 hospitals that were abandoned without finishing by the past governments, and which were only inaugurated on the outside where the facade was finished but on the inside it was only an unfinished work. Since coming of the presidency, he put a lot of emphasis on fixing the public health system that had served by past governments to steal. He began to rescue the unfinished and abandoned hospitals. Within this same sector, it has managed to recruit thousands of doctors and nurses. Together with the armed forces, the Navy launched the DN3 program that is in charge of helping the population in the event of a disaster, so they set up hospitals within military facilities to provide medical service to victims of the COVID-19 virus. It also reached an agreement with the private hospital sector, who for the first time in the history of Mexico work shoulder to shoulder to prevent the country from collapsing. So together they are providing medical service to citizens and preventing thousands of deaths. In this regard, Mexico managed to lower the rate of contagion and therefore the death of many people. President Andres Manuel López Obrador, from the beginning of the pandemic, put specialists, such as the Health Secretary and the Undersecretary Hugo López Gatell, in charge to direct and coordinate the most pertinent measures. And so Dr. Gatell in the morning and in the afternoon attended to and answered the various doubts and questions from the media. Here the vision of the president was very important because upon learning of the possible scenarios that he would face, having knowledge of the difficult situation that the European countries were experiencing, he established communication ties with China, the United States and other friendly nations to have knowledge of the problem that he was going to face. And that was what he needed to avoid a major tragedy, so he entrusted the Secretary of Foreign Affairs to maintain broad communication with friendly countries and thus buy the necessary medical supplies and ventilators to prevent the deaths of many citizens. He also instructed the Secretary of Foreign Relations, Marcelo Ebrard, to maintain constant communication with the ambassadors of other countries and of the World Health Organization and to carry out all the necessary steps so that the country does not collapse along with the health sector. There are different social programs for the benefit of those most in need, and there are also important victories in this regard, since the delivery of these economic resources has been capitalized and it is delivered directly to citizens. He has been successful in various sectors. One of them is his fight against the theft of hydrocarbons, which meant a loss of 63 billion pesos, and that since President Andres Manuel López Obrador arrived, achieved a decrease of more than 95%. There is much to say yet. This is a brief introduction to part of his work. If you like this video, I ask you to support me by subscribing to my channel called Cultural Evolution. And if you have a comment, do not forget to let me know. Thank you.